PlayStation 3 specialized demo discs. Yep. So for me personally, I don't care too much for the standard affair demo discs where they're for one particular game. And I mean, I get it. It's something where they're quirky and unique. They have the not-for-resale label. Sometimes they have builds of a game on there with features that did not make it into the final build of the game. So I get why they're interesting and unique, but I don't dabble too much in those. However, I do have a fascination with these sort of compilation discs, as they were, that have multiple demos on them, and sometimes trailers for games as well. They're very much a snapshot of that particular part of the console's life cycle. And so this one is certainly very eye-catching, where it's that red box art up front saying PlayStation 3 special demo disc, and you can tell this one is from Japan, and there is a white variant here. So we'll be taking a look at both of these, which very much do have different content items on them. And at least in North America and many other parts of the world, this is where you would have this guy right here in a Blu-ray case. And these, they're in Blu-ray cases because they don't have any game demos on them. It's primarily just a bunch of trailers for not only PlayStation 3 stuff, which relates to, you know, games, hardware, accessories, but also, you know, this was very much a time early on where we're in the middle of the Blu-ray versus HD DVD format war. So there's also a lot of high-res movie trailers on here as well, which we will not be looking at, but we can at least see the titles of those things when we explore the UI menus of these discs. Now, I've had people point this particular case out to me a number of times throughout the years for how it looks pretty cool and interesting. They came bundled with a number of PS3 models throughout the years, and I say years loosely because there are other variants of this disc. How many? Good question. So what we have here is damn near all of them. I would say these are different throughout the years, but the spine already is a dead giveaway in terms of how many of these they really did and how close together they were for the PS3 life cycle. They really stopped doing these right after they shipped the slim PlayStation 3. So the Matafont logo tells you right away, you know, when these came out and when they were relevant, right? So at least for this first one, which I do tend to see quite often, we have this white version, which does have different content on there. And this was also during a time, I like to point out, where they're still in the middle of the Play Beyond campaign, and the on-paper copyright trademark for PlayStation 3 is still all capital letters. Same for PlayStation Network. And they slowly start loosening up on this, and they decide to stop yelling at people at some point, but not until they release a variant which has a free download code for Pain. And that's the only difference between these two, is that one has a Pain download code and the other one does not. And I can assure you that does not work anymore. It expired back in, I think, 2008, so they really didn't give you a whole lot of time for this. Yeah, December 31st, 2008, which is kind of crazy. They really want you to get this thing opened and start using it. But I love the disc, so let's take a look at this disc for a second, because it's in a Blu-ray case, no game demos, but the disc is still very much a PlayStation 3 looking game disc, with the PlayStation 3 banner that was typical during that time, the black wavy XMB waves, wavy waves, and the red text from the, again, Play Beyond campaign, where they were going with these, you know, really black, dark marketing materials, but the text was always red, and gets me jazzed up inside, I'll tell you what. And I think they were certainly aware of people like me, because they decided to tone it down a little bit and get rid of the XMB waves with this variant right here, where there's just a red banner on the bottom. Welcome to PlayStation 3, PlayStation Network. PSN, no longer yelling at you, so just a capital P, S, and an N there, and you know, same thing, but disc a little bit different as well. And then there is a Pain variant with this one also that has very, very much expired as well. This one, I can tell you, expired back in it would have been March 30th, excuse me, 2009. So we are certainly going in order here, but yeah, you still were able to get Pain. The content between these two discs, it's the exact same, but it is different from these two, where the content on these two are the exact same. And then we have our most recent one. They really didn't do a lot of these after this, but it's the slim PlayStation 3. This one in a Blu-ray case, where it's got that like I don't even know what this is, like I guess a security tab or something. It seems kind of annoying to have, but they have that one on there. And this is the only disc actually out of all this that has a pretty beefy you know, pamphlet of paperwork here, and you can see again a snapshot of what they were doing at the time. So the accessories that came out, PlayStation Network, the redesigned PlayStation Store. They're also advertising how they were selling, movies and things like that. PlayStation Home and game releases. I mean, it could not be more reminiscent of that time. You've got the weekly Pulse series, the digital magazine for Core, and then other screenshots and things like that going on in the PlayStation 3 universe. But yeah, we are going to dive into these discs and take a look at what's going on these things. And I did not show you the back of the special demo discs, but not much to really see here. Just tells you what's actually on them. We're already going to see that when we boot these up. But you've got game demos on this side and then some trailers on the other side. I will tell you, these have game demos, only a few, but these have way more trailers on them versus these special demo discs. Jesus. But let's hop into them now. Now, I will say the Japanese cases, which are the coolest ones, I think, they're not really the most exciting thing here because there's no special executable that you can launch that lets you access this content. And a lot of PS3 games at the time did this if they had a demo on the disc. Before you would launch the game proper, you would have the option on the XMB with the content items sitting there in the standard PS3 bubbles, to copy over, right? So that's what you would do is hit install, you get the standard install process, and that's how you would copy these games over and play them that way. So at least for the red disc, it has The Last Guy, World Soccer Winning 11 2009, and Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, which I believe these are the standard demos that were on PSN on the Japanese store at the time. So I'm fairly certain there's nothing unique about these, but that's how you would access those. And then the same for video. Nothing launches, so you just go over to video, there it is, and there's your videos. These you cannot copy over, so you have to watch them direct off this, but that one is Gundam, which is 5 minutes long, which is kind of crazy, and then that is Little Big Planet, and then Aquanauts Holiday and Africa, which we can just start one of these up, and it's a PlayStation 3 trailer, so I already had it a little far in, but it's cool that you have a nice high quality trailer to look at, right? Which, at least for this era of PlayStation 3, a lot of these trailers online do not look all that good. So having a nice high quality trailer is, I think, the most unique thing about these, or the most fascinating thing about these, which is why the Blu-ray ones are a lot cooler to look at. As for the white PS3 case, we have a 6-minute trailer for Yakuza, Demon Souls, White Knight Chronicles, and then Resistance 2, which it's again, it's interesting to have just high quality trailers for this stuff. So for Demon Souls from Software, very early on, looks pretty good to see it like this, right? And then gameplay demos. This probably has some better demos, right? So you've got Biohazard 5, MGS4, Metal Gear Online, and that is one piece as well. Which Metal Gear Online, of course, you can't do anything with that if you install, at least on a standard PS3. You can't get past even accepting terms of service or something like that. But also the MGS4 demo, which I think is, again, the standard demo, and that lives on PSN. But now let's dive into just the trailer discs, which, starting off with the black one, there's not a whole lot on this. Also, just to point out for those that are curious what these show up as on the XMB, some of them are completely unlabeled. It just says BD-ROM, so they don't add anything on there. But the other ones, some of the other ones they do. So I'm just going to show that right now for the sake of time and for those that want to see what they do look like on the XMB. PlayStation 3 experience redefining high-definition entertainment. So first, there's two menus here, which this plays a trailer right away. So these two menus down here, high-definition movies on Blu-ray. You've got a generic montage of all this stuff, but 300, Casino Royale, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Ghost Rider. That's all they've got for movies. And then for trailers for games, you've got Calling All Cars, Super Rub-a-Dub, SingStar, Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction. That's one of the very first trailers, I believe, where they don't even put a name on it, I think, in that trailer. I Have Judgment, Spider-Man 3, Lair, And they included the layer behind the scenes, which this also lives on the actual layer disc when you unlock more behind the scenes stuff. Time Crisis, Uncharted, and Motorstorm. But let's look at this Welcome to PSN video. Just going to fast forward through this a little bit, but this is the early sales pitch of PSN, so your destination for unique and exclusive content, so showing off those early PSN exclusives like Tekken 5 and Wipeout HD. I'm going to fast forward a little bit more. Blast Factor, Everyday Shooter, High Velocity Bowling, free game demos, game add-ons, right? So DLC, the very early iteration of DLC on PlayStation at least. Look at that, number 3, Relive PlayStation Classics. So times are a lot different nowadays, right? So this was a pretty big selling point back then, having those PS1 downloadable titles. Join PS3 communities, which PlayStation Home, of course, they got a lot of that going on as well. And online, right? Free online play, which I think is a different bullet point in here somewhere, but that's pretty much all that's on this disc. So this one and this one has some kind of encryption layer on it, so I can't actually do a direct capture from the main menu. I don't know why. If I play certain trailers, then my feed does show up on the hardware I have. I do it through HDMI with the stripper on PlayStation 3. But we'll still do kind of an off-camera thing so you can see the menu, and I can always pull this stuff later, which I have. But yeah, this one has a lot of trailers on it too. So for movies, Blu-ray educational, interactive. Then you've got this here, 21, Batman Begins, Corpse Bride, Enchanted, not to be confused with Uncharted, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, I'll Take a Burger and Fries, Harry, that's an order. Then you've got Planet Earth, Superman Returns, Vantage Point, Walk Hard, Sony BMG Music. Game trailers, though, Burnout Paradise, Buzz, Echo Chrome, more Eye Judgment with the first and only second set, the Biolith Rebellion, I think it's called, and then Folklore, GT Prologue, Iron Man the Game, High Velocity Bowling, and just a bunch of stuff on here. A lot of MLB, ton of MLB on here, but Ratchet & Clank, SingStar, The Incredible Hulk, yeah, there's a lot more on here for trailers. And then PlayStation hardware, there's only a few, but PlayStation 3, which I think a lot of people have probably seen that B-roll that has shown up for early PS3 stuff, and PlayStation Store, PSI now, and the PSP trailer is really cool to see as well, so let's take a look at that. Filmed in downtown Los Angeles, it seems, and right off the bat, downloading some new games from the old web-based PlayStation Store, grabbing some classic games, because again, that was actually part of marketing material to highlight classic games. Watching movies on the go, which is again something that I think tends to be lost on a lot of people. Who would actually want to watch content on PSP? But this was still pre-smartphone era, pre-iPhone. Listen to the radio and stuff. It genuinely was a very handy, cool device. I mean, even the early fat iPod models that eventually let you watch music videos and things like that on there with downloading content from the iTunes store. I mean, the utility was really there for PSP before the iPhone came into the scene. To be able to, watch stuff, listen to music, apparently go to a T-Mobile hotspot for your local cafes, which people were totally up to doing back then, and playing MLB of all things, but it really was something that made sense back then. I and my friend Terrell always used PSP like this. Not so much making phone calls via Skype, but you could do that with that recent firmware. Oh, look at the keyframing on that TV in the back where they imposed a XMB over that. Oh, it's so jittery. Oh, it looks so bad. It's blending into the next thing. Who am I to say? I wouldn't be able to edit that much better. But, yeah, everyone hanging out around the PlayStation 3, having a good time, music in the palm of your... She is so thousands. Wow. Illicit substances right in broad daylight. Oh my god, just handing off that Memory Stick Pro Duo. I can't believe this. Early thousands girl. Right in broad daylight. That's downtown Los Angeles for you, I tell you. Hasn't gotten much better, too. Live TV on the bus. Watching the best PSP commercial on their PSP. Questionable advertising, I have to say, from Sony. Yeah, we had to look at this trailer because it's like so ridiculous, but everything they are showing you like was genuinely like it worked and it made sense. Picture a world without smartphones, without iPhone, without a big screen. Like this thing, it worked. It was so fun. It was so cool. Ah, man, PSP. It's like a nut you can play outside. So this one and this one, they immediately start off with this guy just having the goddamn time of his life on the cross-media bar. You know, doing things that you can't necessarily do the way he's doing them, but it immediately starts off with this. And I think it is unskippable on your first go around. This menu for this one I hate because it's kind of hard to navigate. So this one I'm just going to talk and then throw in footage after because trying to talk and record this at the same time for this disc is a nightmare. The menus are so weird, so you can see how it's like a carousel of text for each sub-menu of PS3 games, PSP, Blu-ray movies, and PSN, but the content is like completely locked down. You can't fast forward any content. You can either watch it through its entirety or stop it and back out, but each sub-menu has a starting trailer, and because you can't see the rest of the items until you watch the entire trailer or back out, then it sort of puts you into a weird loop where it's a pain to do. Having said that, I am vamping through this entire thing so I can show you the B-roll of what's going on in this particular menu, which it has the most content so far. I mean, it's between PS3 and PSP, I think it's got like 30-something trailers, maybe more. I think the whole thing has got like 50 to 60 trailers on it, which is kind of nuts, but outside of how annoying it is to navigate, this is actually a really cool thing to have when you first get your PlayStation 3, is just this disc with like so much stuff on it, which are high quality trailers that if you don't have internet at the time, you know, it was just kind of a fun thing to thumb around through, right? Especially because if you did have online, downloading all these like trailers from PSN, which you could do, would take way longer, and internet was also not really reliable at the time, where, you know, things like YouTube and whatnot, like HD was just not easily streamed in terms of the bit rate and what you can pull from those sites. So it was like this still was a genuine delivery mechanism for even just watching trailers, right? To get high quality trailers, it was still better served via physical media. PlayStation Network is your all-access pass to PS3 systems, exclusive downloadable games, game and movie trailers, free playable demos, and online multiplayer at no additional charge. Not anymore. But this one I think is the coolest by far because it has a lot of trailers on here. So World of PlayStation has your standard generic montage trailers for PS3 gaming in 2009 and also PSP. The Greatest Hits Volume 1, also the Bluetooth headset and the keypad. Sports and action games, there's a lot on here as well. So 2009 era, so we've got Uncharted 2, MAG, God of War 3 for some upcoming releases in 2010 and beyond. The 2008 Prince of Persia, which I really like. Then driving and family games you've got on here. A lot of stuff on this section, like also DLC for Pixel Junk Eden Encore, Fat Princess, and then Blu-ray movies. There's a lot on here as well. So you've got one page and then almost a second full page here. And then also really cool is PS3 tutorials, which these were all made by Sony, and so you can get a walkthrough of how to make a slideshow on your PS3 for your photos, importing a CD. So, you know, a lot of things on here that, you know, people don't necessarily need, but it's cool that like we've got some on here, right, to preserve, which that's what we'll get into, is that obviously we were not able to sit here and watch all these trailers in their entirety, and I know people want to see some of these. So what I did do is make sure to capture every trailer on these discs outside of the Blu-ray movies, and I put up a second channel called Press X to Archive, and It's got everything that were on these discs if you want to see high quality trailers for all these games, because I'm sure some of these are still certainly out there, but at least in terms of what you saw on this video, for archiving all this stuff, I did put it up on that channel, which is going to be more of a secondary project for me in the long term, I guess we'd say. So feel free to subscribe or this and that. I'm not sure how often it will be updated, but if I do come across any sort of PlayStation media over time, I'm going to start putting it up on there. If it's, assuming it's a nice high quality that does not already exist on the internet in some way, shape, or form. I've always wanted to get around to doing something like that, and so I'm happy to finally start, joining in on the archiving efforts, and also giving back a bit to the community as well, because no watermarks on those or anything like that. Feel free to pull those trailers if you need them for any sort of project that you're working on. So if you're an aspiring creator and you want to start capturing or using B-roll for those things, right, those are nice high quality trailers to get yourself off the ground for the early PlayStation 3 cycle, which there are so many that want to tell more stories about this platform and share their experiences. And always nice to have high quality B-roll. So press X to archive. Go check out that channel to see anything on here that we explored on these discs. And you're also more than welcome to submit anything you have, and I'll throw it up on the channel or this and that. So again, kind of a secondary project, but yeah, that should be live now as well. And hopefully you all enjoyed checking out these special PlayStation 3 promotional discs, and another little oddity in the PlayStation 3 life cycle that I thought was fun to take a look at and explore. And that is it. So I will see you all in my next video. You take it easy.